right, we are back. New week, new artist. And today we are looking at one that we did not look at in the book Kid Artists. This is somebody brand new to you guys, but one of my favorite artists. I definitely put him up there. And one I don't know much of his history, so that's exciting. And so when I say my favorite, I mean I really like his paintings. And his name is Gustav Klimt, and he is the golden man of Art Nouveau. And I definitely have a thing for Art Nouveau. Wonder how Luca's in here. He's my real favorite. Anyway, this famous Austrian Art Nouveau painter had a passion for beautiful art and women, but most of all for his cats. His studio was always full of pet felines and, of course, the beautiful models he painted. Oops, sorry. There he goes with his little kitties. And you see that funny little smock he's wearing. I guess I shouldn't make fun of it or call it funny, but he actually pretty much wore that a lot. As I was looking up photos of him, it's kind of his standard outfit. Gustav Klimt was born in Vienna, Austria in 1862. While at school, he and his younger brothers, Ernst and George, excelled at art. Although he loved animals all his life, Gustav's family was poor, so they could not afford pets. He made up for that when he was a grown-up. As a teenager, Gustav attended the Viennese School of Applied Art. His teachers noticed his extraordinary talent and selected him to take extra art classes. Soon, his brothers joined him there, along with their friend Franz Mach. I just lost my place. There we go. While they were still studying, Gustav, Ernst, and Franz were chosen to paint pictures for money. In 1879, when Gustav was 17, they created designs for Festzug, a pageant organized for the whole of Vienna to celebrate the silver wedding anniversary of their emperor and empress. Artist Hans Mackart was in charge of the project. That's him there in the photo you see popping up. Hans Mackart was one of the greatest Viennese painters at the time because he painted huge canvases with intense colors. He was nicknamed the Magician of Color and the Prince of Painters. Klimt learned from his ideas about using color to create light effects. Gustav, Ernst, and Franz were asked to paint large murals on the walls and ceilings of public and private buildings, including Empress Elizabeth's country house, the Grand Burgtheater, and the Austrian National Theater. My cat is trying to play with the screen. Hang on, y'all. I have to scare him away. Get out of here. Shoot. I lost my place now. The Grand Burgtheater, the Austrian National Theater, and the Kunsthistorisches Museum, which is art history. I took German, so I know that a little bit. Klimt was also asked to illustrate some books. The three successful young artists called themselves the Künstler Kompanie, Artists' Company, and they worked in a studio near the center of Vienna. In 1888, the emperor awarded them the Golden Verdienstkreuze, or the Golden Order of Merit. I can't say that word. Verdienstkreuz. Verdienstkreuz, or the Golden Order of Merit, for their outstanding work, which was a great honor. And you can see the kitty cat wearing the medal. Across Vienna, Klimt had become famous. But then tragedy struck. First, his father died at 58, and then his brother. His brother Ernst also died at 28. Heartbroken, Klimt began supporting his mother, 4 sisters, and Ernst's youngest wife and baby daughter through his work as an artist. For most of his life, Klimt lived with his mother and sisters. He felt particularly comfortable in the company of females and cats. He had many female friends and pet cats, but he never married. Soon after Ernst died, Klimt became friends with a young lady named Emilie Flurg. Flurg and her sisters owned the most well-known dressmaker shop in Vienna. And I hope I'm saying her name right. It's got the little umlauts over the O, so it has like a R sound. And they often modeled for Klimt, sometimes wearing the dresses they made, and sometimes wearing more expensive fashions from London. Klimt and Flurg went to the opera and took French lessons together. You can see a picture of her in one of the dresses she made. Cats around, of course, and Klimt in his smock. Although Klimt had achieved fame early in his career, he was not satisfied. He wanted to create new modern art, not follow old traditions. The Vienna Künstlerhaus, Artist House, was a powerful organization that controlled most of the art that was made and exhibited in Vienna, but Klimt thought it was old-fashioned and had too much control over the art that was made in the city. In 1897, he and some other artists set up a new independent association, the Vienna Secession. The artists elected Klimt to be their first president. The Vienna secessionists built their own exhibition building, held their own exhibitions, and produced their own magazine, Ver Sacrum, Sacred Spring, because they said that their art was like fresh new plant shoots of spring. Although Klimt preferred painting to writing, he wrote several articles for Ver Sacrum. From the start of the Vienna Secession, Klimt painted an entirely new style. He loved to paint people, especially strong women. His painting, Pallas Athene, was the first of these. In bright colors, he included flowers, swirls, and other patterns. These decorative elements were often in the background, while the women looked soft and realistic, usually at that time. I said that. I'm going to try that part again. These decorative elements were often in the background, while the women looked soft and realistic. Usually at that time, other artists depicted women as delicate, but Klimt's were strong because he understood women. He liked his models to relax as they posed in his studio, and most did because Klimt let his pet cats wander around freely. I'd be pretty at home in that. The models happily stroked the cats as they paddled around, walking all over Klimt's drawings. Klimt always had several pet cats, and not just 2 or 3. Sometimes he had about 10. I want my cats to be here now. From 1899 to 1910, Klimt worked in his golden phase. As well as using dyed paint, he also painted with gold and silver and decorated his pictures even more. He developed this completely new style of art through studying Japanese art and ancient Byzantine mosaics he saw in Venice. And I'll show you a picture of that. In 1902, using colorful paint, gold, and silver, fragments of semi-precious materials, and other odds and ends including nails, buttons, tin tacks, and pieces of mirror and dyed glass, Klimt created his huge Beethoven frieze, a 7-part painting to celebrate the life of the composer Ludwig van Beethoven. Creating a powerful impact, Klimt used symbolism to suggest that art and love will rescue the human race from greed and dishonesty. Hasn't happened yet. Although most people loved the work, some did not understand his meaning. In 1903, the magazine Ver Sacrum stopped publication, and also the 18th Secessionist exhibition was held, devoted to Klimt. For the first time, he exhibited some of his landscape paintings as well as portraits, including those of Gertha Felsovigny and Emilie Flurg, which were painted in his new style of a single woman wearing an elaborate outfit set against a plain background decorated with gold. Only their hands and faces were painted realistically. In 1904, an architect friend of Klimt built a mansion called the Stocklet Palace in Brussels. Klimt decorated 3 walls of the dining room with an exotic mosaic using using expensive materials, including enamel, glass, ceramics, metals, coral, mother of pearl, and semi-precious jewels. These mosaics came to be called the Stoklet frieze. Saying that right. Like his other paintings, the frieze is also full of symbols. And we have a little picture of a cat here, and it says, get that closer. It says, it's not clear whether or not Klimt called many of his cats Katze, which simply means cat in German, or just one of his beloved black and white cats that he was photographed cuddling. And I think we have a picture of him cuddling that cat a lot. In 1905, Klimt and some others broke away from the Vienna secession over disagreements about art. Instead, they formed the Klimt Group. Self-indulgent much? In 1908, Klimt exhibited several paintings, including The Kiss, which is that one there, and I'll show you a better image of that nice and big, including The Kiss. With its gold and silver leaf, brilliant colors, symbolism, and graceful curves, it is Klimt's most famous work, featuring a man and a woman entwined, wrapped in golden patterned clothes, and standing on a patch of flowers. In the painting, the man leans over the woman to kiss her. Aww. I mean, ew. In February 1918, near the end of World War I, Klimt died from pneumonia and influenza. He was 55. Not too old. By that time, his decorative style of art had become old-fashioned. But a few years later, it became one of the most admired aspects of Art Nouveau. Very cool. I have a book, I think at school too, about his cats. And that's really exciting. So I think if you are willing to accept my art challenge for you after this chapter, it would be for you to create your own sort of gold and silver patterned background, thinking about the styles you saw of his. How would you do that? Like, or okay, Miss Grace, I don't have gold or silver at home. What do you want me to do? Okay, calm down. I think that if you did what he did with the women, like where they're all kind of in this elaborate patterned clothing and the only thing realistic is their face, I think it'd be really cool if you did something like that. So you could draw this image of this really beautiful, elaborate painted or colored robe or dress, and then take a photograph of yourself or someone you love and admire and cut out just their face and then put that on as the face, so you don't have to worry about drawing it too realistically. If you have the ability and you want to try drawing it realistically, go for it. Otherwise, I think just doing a little photo collage on top of that could be a really cool effect. So I would love to see what you come up with. Share your art at Nebinger Elementary Art on Instagram, or upload it to Artsonia, and I'll be sure to see it there. All right, take care.